listening to the Nerdy Reads podcast, a hipster goblin media production.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Nerdy Reads podcast. We read nerdy stuff, such as sci-fi, fantasy books, comics, manga, and horror. We also discuss all other nerd things from around the globe. R.L. Stine said, most fears are basic. Fear of the dark, fear of going down into the basement, fear of weird sounds, fear that somebody is waiting for you in your closet. And those kinds of things stay with you no matter what age. And today we are continuing an October tradition at the Nerdy Reads podcast, where we cover a guest's favorite Goosebump book. And today's read is a shocker on Shock Street. There is an interesting item in the New Stuff Cafe, some nerdy news, and a lot of fun along the way. I'm one of your hosts, Justin, and whether they're conjuring up ideas or sending chills down your spine with their wit, they're sure to raise the dead, or at least raise some laughs. Hold on tight to your pumpkin spice latte, because we're about to summon the one and only Robert.
Wow, dude. I'm excited to be here, especially after that intro. I do love pumpkin spice. I am the self-proclaimed pumpkin king. If you see anything pumpkin related out there, send it to me. I love getting pictures of random stuff. I have some pumpkin spice popcorn in here to try later. But I digress. Normally, this is where I would introduce our boy Dylan, but Dylan couldn't be here. We have a special guest this week.
Okay. I'm too good to be here on my own podcast. Frankly, I'm surprised that you're still doing it. So, okay, just stop with the shade, okay?
It's Watson. Welcome back, Watson.
Hey, how's it going? You talking about conjuring the dead and necromancy? I think necromancers get a bad rap, man. Just let a guy raise a family in peace.
What a great response. I love it, dude. You know, that response that you just did, the Dylan impersonation, was almost, it's my second favorite, but my first favorite is when you came in here one time and you did the Swedish accent voice.
That was on the very first episode of Watson.
That's dude. Right. That was a legendary intro. So we're glad to have you back, Waddy.
I apologize to the Swedes.
Robert's got a question for us today.
Dude, I do. In honor of our guest, Watson, my homie, we all just took a bro trip to Furnace Fest, but along the way, my dude was all about the Whataburger, and we stopped there, I want to say at least 3 times. I want to know, dude, what was your favorite menu item from Whataburger? This is a you-centric question, Watson.
I stick with the classic. It's the Whataburger patty melt. Double cheeseburger. I think it's Swiss and American cheese. It's got the pepper sauce on there. It's got grilled onions. It's on Texas toast. There's nothing not to love.
Dude, I actually had Whataburger for the first time ever on this trip, and it was delicious. I loved it. I really like that spicy ketchup. Not as much as Justin, who brought back like 4 bottles of it.
Hey, listen, they don't sell it in the Walmart in our area. So I was like, you know, I got to stock up on this and take it home. It's good until 2027, so I'm good.
Did you, Watson, happen to try I found out recently they had a new burger on their menu, and if I would have known it was new, I would have tried it while we were there, but the bacon blaze jalapeno double.
I did. I had the smaller version because I can't afford to have the patty melt and also the full-sized other burger.
Understand.
I spent way too much money on the trip, and surely that $2 difference was what kept me from going bankrupt. But yeah, man, anything with jalapeno and cream cheese, bro, I'm in.
It's about that time. We're about to talk about Goosebumps, and we're going to first open this up with a shocker on Shock Street. So give us just a moment, and we'll be right back. R.L. Stine needs no introduction, but for those of you that may have missed it, R.L. Stine is an American author best known for his Goosebumps series, which has sold hundreds of millions of copies worldwide. Often called the Stephen King of children's literature, Stine has been scaring young readers for decades with his spooky tales of haunted houses, creepy dolls, and supernatural creatures. Born in 1943 in Ohio, he started his career writing humor, but found massive success in the horror genre. Stine's books have been adapted into TV shows, movies, and comic books, making him a beloved figure in both children's and horror literature. Today, we're talking about a shocker on Stock Street. So without further ado, Watson, give us the rundown.
2 children, or are they, win the chance of a lifetime, or is it? And go on a tour, or do they, of a movie theater studio, or is it?
Bro, first off, that is one of the best descriptions of this book that you could possibly give.
That's what it is, man.
I feel like it was fairly indicative of how the chapters ended. Every chapter in this book was like, up, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Every single chapter ended on like a mini cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that as an ADHD like dude. I like one. It was pretty short because it's written for children. Makes sense. It held my attention. Each chapter was its own contained thing, which was awesome. It all tied into the theme. It all made sense. It all flowed. But you had just plot beat, cliffhanger. And it took 2 minutes to read a chapter. It was awesome. I might buy every Goosebumps book and just read them as an adult now.
As you should.
So Watson, this was your favorite Goosebump book. You mentioned that this one was on the number 1 on your list. So let me ask you, I know you just read it, but what made you, as a kid, what put this at the top of your list, and how long has it been since you read it before this time? And if it's like, I don't know, 15, 20 years, that's fine, but it doesn't have to be exact.
It's more than 15 or 20. It's probably 30, man.
Okay.
So Shocker was my first Goosebumps book. I think I picked up a copy at a yard sale when I was 5 or 6. Relatively shortly after it had come out. I liked to read. I kept getting in trouble for reading when I wasn't supposed to. My dad had to go get in fist fights with my elementary teachers to let me read 6th grade books when I was in 2nd grade. I was that kid. And for whatever reason, just I latched onto it. I think it was just the giant praying mantis on the cover.
Sure.
I had the one with the gray border.
The
not the reprint where it's just all mantis, but for whatever reason, I just I loved it. And I ended up with probably 25 of the Goosebumps books before it was all over. I didn't collect all 9,000 of them or anything, but
there are a lot. So this one was the first one you picked up, and I guess it's the one that kind of stood out the most because it was the first one. Is that kind of fair to say?
Right. That's probably why it was the first one that sprung to my mind. It was the one that I remember reading, but I didn't really remember what it was about. I remember there was a scene with the wall and the werewolves. I remembered that part. And very little else of the book. It was kind of, hey Watson, what's your favorite Goosebumps? I don't know. Let's go on vibes. So I did.
Nice.
I love it, dude. I love it. And for those of you who are listening that may not have checked out previous episodes with our boy Watson, he's our favorite teacher. He's the type of dude you want teaching your kids.
Absolutely. Sorry, Mr. Coomer. We love you too, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm the 3rd best freshman English teacher we have.
He's also very humble. We love that about him as well. All right, let's keep talking about this book, man. Let's keep going.
One thing I enjoyed about this book is, it was nods to a lot of old horror stuff, like A Nightmare on Elm Street. One of the Shock Street movies is called A Nightmare on Shock Street. I mean, that's a pretty on the nose reference. And then not, I guess, horror adjacent, but at the beginning of the book, they mentioned prehistoric park with the theme park where you go with the dinosaurs. And I felt like A Shocker on Shock Street was like the dad making, hey, we're going to make a horror version of Jurassic Park of this movie universe. They even had the tram car that the kids had to ride in. I dug that aspect of it, like the horror theme park, going through all these movie sets and seeing the movie monsters they loved. I dug that.
You know what this kind of felt like to me in a way, as I was kind of reading through this and thinking about, because there are so many different monsters, different characters in this. I was kind of thinking, I wonder if this was a moment where R.L. Stine had all these characters and he's like, I'm not going to write a full book about this. I'm just going to throw them all into this thing and make this one crazy story.
You can find us on YouTube or wherever,
and that's where
to listen.
Shocker on Shock Street came from. I don't know.
I almost wonder if it was a bunch of ideas that he had kicking around. Because if you look through the list, like a lot of the ideas that are briefly hit, for one or two chapters in Shocker are also their own full-fledged like Goosebumps books. They're different enough.
Sure.
But like the haunted house at the end, the castle that comes out of nowhere, the werewolves, like that's all stuff that he touches in other books as well. So it was almost like a sampler platter.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to compare everything to food. Look at me, audio podcast. Look at me with your eyeballs. That's the thing you can do.
That's dude. Well, naturally, like Jurassic Park, things go bad. And I thought it was cool. Like they're 12-year-old kids and this stuff's happening. I think the first instance of bad is like the worms are falling on them. And then the spiders are going down. And that happened in something called the Cave of Creeps, which was cool. I really liked all that stuff. Obviously, I like when the train breaks down and then we get the actual praying mantises going after them. And this whole time, I'm like, where's the stinger? These are like 12-year-old kids. Like, how are we surviving these giant praying mantis that spit acid and eroded his clothes? And he's just like, oh, that burned a little. And then he just moves on. I'm like, come on, bro. Where is the kicker? And it comes. It's pretty cool when it comes.
Yeah. I was kind of looking after, I was looking at some stuff from because I watched the actual episode as well on YouTube. You can get it for free. Or Netflix, I think. But I went and watched that episode as well. And somebody was talking about how there were different cues even in the book. And I didn't even think about this, but they were talking about even in the beginning when they're in the movie theater and somebody said, are you guys twins or whatever it was? You guys look just alike or whatever, but yet they're not even related and all that kind of stuff. They were saying those are little tells that he put in there that kind of gave us clues that they were what they ended up being at the end. Have we even given up the kicker yet? I don't even remember.
Well, dude, they're in a scene or they're in like something. They're getting attacked by the werewolves and they're trying to shoot the lasers at it or something. Nothing's happening. And then like the director yells cut. If I recall, I may have mixed up the werewolf scene with something else that happened. But the director yells cut and they're like, what? And he's like, oh, you guys were just in a movie the whole time. I was like, oh, that's the stinger. They're in a movie. But then like the little girl notices the director has like a cord hanging out of his back. And she takes off running after Marty and like, no, don't go into Shock Rose house or whatever. And Marty gets ethered into oblivion. And I'm like, dude, did R.L. Stein just kill a kid? What is happening right now? Like the house lights up, the kid gets fried, he's laying there. And her dad comes out and she starts freaking out, going crazy. And then the next chapter, they were robots. They alien me. That's what happened. Ash is a robot. It happened in Goosebumps.
That's right.
I can't decide if I like they were robots better or worse than, oh, it was all a dream. Never mind.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be some dream or something, like the dad was going to be waking Aaron up because I'm like, how are they going to explain all of this, dude?
And I kind of like the robots better.
I do too.
I do like that they made a callback to like the first or second chapter, and it switches perspective, and that was fun and definitely would have confused me as a kid, which is probably why I didn't remember the ending at all. But he was like, oh, yeah, she came into my office and was asking about her mom. That was weird. She doesn't have one.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, okay, great. You've, I guess, retroactively foreshadowed something. I'm not really sure how that works as a literary device, but I appreciated it.
Yeah, the dude mentioning that, it was almost like, oh, these robots are, becoming more intelligent. We need to put them down type deal. But the part with the mom at the beginning of the book threw me. And I was like, wow, man, this dude just got like real nasty with his daughter because she's asking about her mom. Okay, douche. And then we moved on.
Kind of true, though. Yeah.
My first thought, like during that, was, oh, maybe the mom died or whatever, and the kid's in denial. But that's a little bit dark for a.
R.L. Stein's like a horror writer for children,
right.
but he doesn't usually get that,
Right.
dark with it. So yeah.
We're going to talk about giant werewolves and also family trauma. And the prank mantis is shoot goo.
I'm saying if there was a theme park like this, I would go to it.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be there. 100%.
Robert, there's your favorite Goosebumps book is theme park oriented.
Oh, the Horrorland?
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
Horrorland's. I mean, it's a classic.
It is.
Straight up classic. I feel like it's not really, we're not robots, but Universal does a good job with Halloween Horror Nights, making you feel like you're in the movies. Like when I walked into the house from Insidious this year, I'm in the house from Insidious. Like it looks like the movie set. And the little red demon dude was creepy. Like they do a good job of it. It's probably the closest thing we have to this, but I really enjoy it. I like that. I like this book. Thank you, Watson.
Yeah. This was a good choice. It was a good selection. So Watson can go buy all the rest of them, are you?
I mean, maybe. They're only $5 each on Kindle.
Yeah.
Which is still, a significant purchase, but
I think you should just start a physical collection.
So that's kind of nice.
Start a physical collection and keep them in your classroom.
And only buy them from yard sales.
Books. They already tore up all of my Diary of a Wimpy Kid books.
Did they really?
Oh, yeah. I got missing covers, chunks and chapters torn out and flung around. Somebody took a novel that my dad gave me and peeled the covers off. So it's just like half ripped paper all the way around. Like books that go into my classroom do not stand a chance.
Dang, man.
Kids, treat your teachers' books well.
Yeah, please and thanks. Or at least steal their books and give them to me. Children who are listening to this podcast.
Yeah, which is probably not many.
Look.
I mean, you never know.
I too, like Justin, checked out the YouTube episode of this because I was curious, like what liberties they took, and it turns out a lot.
Yeah, it's vastly different. It's not even. It feels like a completely different story.
They got the overall robot theming left, and they changed the ending, which I thought was cool. Like the robots kind of rise up and go after Dad at the end, which I thought was neat. But outside of that, dude, it's just completely different. The praying mantis was not in there at all, which I was bummed about. I wanted to see them, but I figure, this 1990s Goosebumps show, what kind of budget did they have for my praying mantis? And they didn't have the graveyard scene. I thought was cool when like Marty fell down in the open grave and she's trying to pull him up and then all the zombie hands are coming out. That wasn't in there either.
Mm-hmm.
But
I am always reminded of how much I loved that show growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cheesy.
Yeah,
it's cheesy as all get it out, but there's just something. I think R.L. Stine books are like they're corny in a good way. Like
they're amazing.
They're just it's a fun, like, I don't know. They're fun. They're easy to read. Like Watson said, every time we do this in October, I'm like, I should be buying some more Goosebumps books, But yeah, they're just good times. But I agree. It's vastly different. Watson, have you watched it recently?
I haven't. I watched all of the episodes, in the 90s as they came out. And then they also had a Shocker on Shock Street movie, I think, that was different from the Shocker on Shock Street episode of the series.
Interesting.
And I meant to watch both of them, and I watched neither because I am who I am. But
Dude,
sorry, is that Dylan? What happened?
Hey, at least you read the book. And shout out to Dylan because he actually read Incidents Around the House, which I respected him for doing. I did go into a bookstore looking for the physical copy of this book over the weekend. I could not find it, and I had my 12-year-old with me. And I was like, buddy, you want a Goosebumps, man? Halloween time? He's like, no, but I want this Five Nights at Freddy's book. And the amount of Five Nights at Freddy's books that exist now, I'm like, this must be like my kids' Goosebumps. There's so many of them. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing I can liken them to.
Five Nights at Freddy's feels so much darker than Goosebumps, though, especially after I watched the movie.
And there's more lore.
Yeah.
Like it's all connected in a way that I don't think Goosebumps was.
Nah.
Not until that movie came out, and then all of a sudden every single R.L. Stine story came to life and tried to destroy that town.
But you got to have your metaverse.
Yeah. It was epic. But yeah, dude, it was good. So the new show's actually coming out too very soon, or not new show, but the next season. I don't know if did you watch the new show, Watson?
I have not.
Oh, bro, you're
y'all talking about it though.
You're missing out, dude.
Check it out, Watson. Just in time. Watch it and be ready for January.
I mean, as an adult, like my kids watched an episode without me, and I stayed up one night. And I was like, I want to catch up on Goosebumps so I can catch up with all my family. Dude, that's how much I like that show. Okay, as a grown man, so don't miss out.
I watch Bluey. I watch Bluey. I've seen every episode. My kids don't exist, so
there you go. There you go. All right, friends, give us just a minute. We're getting ready to talk about our adventures in Birmingham, Alabama. We're getting ready to step into the New Stuff Cafe, so give us just a moment. Hey, welcome back to the New Stuff Cafe. We have something a little different planned for today's New Stuff Cafe. Instead of having, a beverage, full-blown beverage review and all that kind of stuff, we're going to talk about our adventures to Birmingham, Alabama. All three of us got to go, got to hang out. It was a dude's trip. It was a weekend to remember. It was a lot of fun. But while we are talking about it, we are gonna have a bevy. I think each of us got a Monster Energy drink in honor of the fest. Believe it or not, you guys got the new flavor. What'd you guys get?
It's Ultra Vice Guava.
Nice. I got the Ultra Strawberry Dreams, which I think was also there. So what they did is they had a Monster Energy tent at this festival. And even though I didn't believe it when we saw it on social media, they said, hey, there's going to be free Monster. I thought, there's going to be some sort of limit on that. No. You could walk in 30 times during the festival. Now, you may get a heart attack by drinking that in a day, but you can walk in as many times as you want, point at the can, and they would give you a fresh, cold Monster Bevy, which was very nice.
So, dude, a little backstory on that. Like Watson, Justin, we invited him on the show. Jordan, he dissed us. What up?
Bro,
and
not only did he diss us, it was a straight cold diss, too.
Straight up code diss. Said, nah, I'm good, boys. Do your thing. Thanks.
It's off for Jesus.
You know what? Valid. But we went to Birmingham for Furnace, that 3-day music festival held on the side of the Sloss Furnace, historical national landmark, all that good stuff. It's like hardcore, metalcore, some emo music. Monster was one of the sponsors, as Justin mentioned. We drove 5.5 hours, leaving our starting point at 5:30 a.m.
I left mine at 4.
Justin left at 4. Dude, it was a long day. We all got up early. We drove, and then we were in the heat. It was hot down there. And about 5 to 6 that evening, I drank a lot of coffee, dude. I was dying because I had no caffeine. I'm dead on my feet. I walked to this thing, and I'm like, hey, let me get a Monster. They were advertised for like $6. They're sold out. I'm like, of course they are. And I saw that giant Monster pop up, almost like a pop-up bar thing Justin was talking about in the distance. So I strolled in there like, they'll have one for me to buy. And I ordered one, and the lady just handed it to me, and I'm standing there with my wallet. She said, oh, no, they're free. And I'm like, what? Free? It was over after that. I went and found Justin and Jordan, told them about it. Before I could even get the words free Monster out, Justin had done a 180, and he's knees to chest halfway across the lawn to get to that Monster thing with me and Jordan trying to catch up to him.
See, my fear was that this was going to sell out or get freed out, or however you say that. And so I was like, I got to get there before all the free ones are gone, was my thought. And did I mention I got up at 4 a.m. to get here?
Yeah.
So I was exhausted too, dude. I was dying. And the Monster brought me back, dude. If it weren't for this, I wouldn't have made it through day one.
Man, I don't know if I would have survived Furnace Fest, period, without Monster. I had an obscene amount of these things over the weekend. I don't know how my heart survived. I probably aged myself a couple years. But the guava one that I have in front of me is only 10 calories and only has 150 milligrams of caffeine instead of like the normal 200. Shout out to Monster Energy and their generosity. I read that they gave out over 24,000 free cans that weekend.
That's insane.
Half of them were us.
Dude, that tent was always popping. There was always people there. It was never empty, that's for sure.
They had the Monster water cans as well, but those weren't free. They knew what they were doing. See, they didn't charge us for the energy drinks, knowing that we'd get even thirstier, but then they charged us $5 a can for the water. So they know. They made their money back on the water. I doubt that, but
then we found out. I don't want to make that joke. Then we found out about the hoses. So the amount of money that we spent on water dropped significantly that second day.
I never visited
that
the
random
houses.
bottle on the floor and just decided it was mine.
That's one of my favorite Furnace Fest memories. Is that it's when you found the bottle and you go, anybody know whose bottle this is? And you're sitting in the middle of this field raising, and you're a tall dude anyway. So you're raising this bottle up. No one claims it. You go, it's mine. And my man drank out of that bottle the entire weekend.
Instead of giving me COVID, it kept me alive.
Yeah.
I might have died without that random bottle. So,
dude, we would have stopped at Walmart and got you a bottle, bro. We would have
drug-addled emo kid left that on the floor, on the ground, in the mud, in the dirt. Dude, that was holy ambrosia, nectar of the gods.
Skull, boys.
Skull.
Ah, yes. Tastes just like Furnace Fest.
Furnace Fest, yep. Before I cut you guys off earlier to say let's save that for the show, we talked about our Buc-ee's experience, and obviously there's my boy with his Buc-ee's hat, and there is Watson with the his Buc-ee's stuffed Buc-ee's Beaver, who he used to take car naps all the way up and down, or what.
This Beaver put in work. He was busy. He was my snuggle buddy. You gotta have a snuggle buddy. House full of 4 dudes. The other 3 don't want to snuggle you. You gotta have a snuggle beaver.
I mean, I wasn't asked. But it's okay.
What'd you say?
I wasn't asked to snuggle.
You were in the room right next to me.
It was. I might have. All right. Well, I want to know if you spent more money at Buc-ee's or Whataburger.
Dude, it's close, I think. If we would have gone one more time to Whataburger, I think Whataburger would have won out. But I spent about $20 each time we went to Whataburger. That first time we hit Buc-ee's, I dropped $78 on hot sauce, a stuffed beaver, and beef jerky.
To be fair, that beef jerky you had me try was
really good.
Man.
Jerky, but
yeah, dude.
I maybe overdid it a little bit.
No way. Dude.
I mean, if you go to Buc-ee's, and was that your first time there?
It was.
It was mine as well.
I was excited. I was Jack Skellington just bouncing around. What's this? What's this? And then I had to buy it all.
Beaver nuggets everywhere. Yeah.
Oh my God, those white cheddar habanero Bucky nuggies. I mean, I keep telling people to go to Buc-ee's and bring me back approximately $30 worth, and I will buy them again.
I mean, Buc-ee's is an experience in and of itself.
It was. Buc-ee's was a integral part of the trip. Thank you.
Dude, we had a lady take a picture of us in front of the Beaver.
That's true.
Yeah. We were sitting there trying to selfie it, and she goes, "Would you like me to take the picture for you, boys?" Oh no, she sounds so creepy.
She was a like flapper. Hey, I say hello. Would you like me to take your photograph?
You made it sound like she was the Harris from Holly, bro. She was coming after us.
Dude, I really did. My bad.
Dude, Furnace Fest was awesome. We had 3 days of band. A lot of these bands, it's been 20 years since I've seen them play. They were bands I loved in high school and as a young adult, and seeing them all live in one place for the money that I spent to do it is just well worth it. What a great experience all around.
Well, I think too, just to kind of go into, I mean, it is spooky season, and something I didn't know going into there until my wife texted me while we're there was that this place is, it's a historic place. I think it's like protected and all those kind of things. But apparently, there's some supposed haunting stuff that goes on there. Even ghost adventurers have spent time there trying to find the ghosts and all that kind of stuff. This was just a really cool grounds. I don't know, when you went to the Shed to watch a band play in the Shed, is one of the coolest moments of me watching live music. I've never seen bands I love in such a cool place. Even the backdrop and seeing the giant furnace thing back there, and you're in this just gigantic, narrow, long, tall shed building, and your favorite bands are just sitting there, slamming to these breakdowns and screaming into a mic. And there's no guardrails at any of the stages. There were 3 stages, no guardrails. So people are just climbing on the stage and leaping off and doing all the things that I remember as a kid that you don't see a whole lot of that anymore. Because a lot of times those guardrails are about 10 feet away from the stage. And unless you have an NBA future, you're not leaping from that stage into the crowd very often nowadays. But it was just such a cool, it was just such a throwback. And I think that's what makes that festival so special, is that you do see bands that are retired for the most part. You do see those kind of things, those old school ways that shows used to be, that you don't see a whole lot. Like even Under Oath mentioned it at the end of their set on the last night, and they were the last band that played, when he was talking about, hey, this might be the last time we ever play a show without guardrails. So, get up on stage and sing. Do with that information what you will.
Yeah,
it was, and people did a lot with that information. That whole stage ended up being, just stacked. Robert was in that stack of people.
I didn't try to get on the stage. I was told you're going up there. I was pushed. You couldn't. I just held my hands up like this and let the crowd take me where they took me, and I ended up on the stage.
150, 200 people on that stage.
Oh yeah,
for the last song of Under Oath.
Yeah, I mean the lead singer's literally crowd surfing on the stage. There were so many. There was a crowd big enough on stage for them to crowd surf on stage.
This dude next to me got knocked down and almost fell off the stage, and I'm grabbing him to keep him from falling, and this other dude's grabbing him, and we help him, and he just kind of sits on the edge of the stage after almost falling off, and the song's ending, and I was like, I ain't jumping. I just sat down and joined him. I'm like, what's up, dude? He's like, this was awesome. I'm like, yes, it was. I'm just going to sit here until it gets safe and the crowd disperses. And somebody was nice enough to help me who didn't want to jump with my 38-year-old knees onto that ground. And he helped me down. So then I just started helping everybody off the stage. It was good times, man.
Absolutely. Robert, you were the second most senior member of our road trip crew there. And you definitely were the youngest of all of us that day.
My man.
My man was in every pit. My man was like, who's this band? I don't care. I'm going to go punch somebody. And he ran in and just let a bunch of strangers beat up on him, and he'd hobble out of the pit. He's like, that was awesome. I can't wait to do it again. And then he would do it again.
Oh, dude, it definitely took me back to when I was younger, and the experience of that show is very much like if you're not. Sometimes there were a couple bands I didn't go in the pit. I'll full stop. Unity, Texas, your pit scared me. No Cure, someone broke their ankle. Your pit scared me. I just stood near the pit, so I was like pit adjacent, but there was no way I was going in there and getting hit by some of those dudes.
No.
But a lot of the bands I was out there for. But yeah, it was a good time, dude.
It was, and even something that I think was so cool about this festival is that how friendly everybody was for the most part. I don't know if I had a bad experience if I thinking back on it from anybody being rude if it was literally one of those things where if people bumped into you, it was like, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Even if you're in the pit, like people would sit there and full blown like hit somebody and then they pick them back up and hug them real quick. Are you okay? It's like, like that's the kind of community that this is. And I don't know. That's just something that I don't know if I've experienced anything like that, something like this. And I've been to some other music festival type of things, but the camaraderie and unity at this thing was something cool. And I think too, the fact that we all went together kind of helped that too. You have four friends just hanging out the whole time. And it was just a really, really special weekend, really.
Yeah. Speak on that unity. I did. During Poison the Well, there was a dude who just came running off the stage. I'm up this. I'm trying to sing along to all the songs. One of my favorite old bands. This dude just comes running out the stage and he flips right towards me and one other guy. I fold like a piece of paper. This dude's huge. I'm on the ground. This homie gets off of me after using me to soften his blow, picks me up and just starts hugging me. And he's like, sorry about that, dude. Are you good? I thought you had me. I'm like, what part part of me. I'm half of you.
You look buff, dude.
Man, but that happened. And then during Evergreen Terrace or 18 Visions, one of those bands, probably Evergreen Terrace, I got punched in the stomach and it knocked the wind out of me. And it was that moment where I was like, you know what? Maybe I don't belong here. Maybe I need to stand to the back where it's safe. It stopped me for like 2 songs.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Stretch Armstrong's been one of my favorite bands since I can remember. And we went up front for them. And so I was like probably 2 rows back from the stage, screaming, trying to get into the mic. And it was funny because I was wearing a hat and people kept crowd surfing. My hat kept getting knocked off. And then it became this thing where all these dudes are with like around me and they kept going, here's your hat, bro. Here's your hat. And one of the dudes looks at me after I fell off. He goes, we're not losing this hat. I promise you, dude, no matter what, we're not losing this hat. And it just became this thing where it's like these group of dudes, I have no idea who they were, are screaming at me about how we're going to save my hat through the Stretch Armstrong set. But it was just such a good time. They were awesome too.
The opposite thing happened to Josh. He kept getting his hat knocked off in the pit and they kept doing it. So he just flung it into the crowd. And then we ended up finding it on the ground.
That was a hilarious
I was like, hey, is that Josh's hat? And I guess they've been reunited. I'm not sure. So
I hope they have. That's amazing.
Yeah.
If they do, we need a picture from Josh of him wearing his dusty hat. That
he did send us a picture of him not wearing the hat.
He did, which was hilarious.
Yeah, top 3 bands you guys saw there. Can you put 3? It don't have to be top. Just give me 3 you enjoyed.
Number 3, I'm gonna go with Seosin. They were one of the top draws for me, and they did not disappoint. Jordan has, I think, correct criticism that there were some high harmonies missing. But like, honestly, the album's 22 years old. So if you can't hit the same high harmonies you could literally 2 decades ago, I'm amenable to that. I'll forgive that. Number 2, I'll do Coheed. Coheed was the draw for me. They're why I went. They did 4 volume 1 front to back, and then hit us with the 1-2 combo of Favor House and then In Keeping Secrets. For their encore. Beautiful set as always. They're the band that I've seen the most times. I think I'm at 15 times live.
Nice.
That's cool.
For Coheed.
Awesome.
Top band, I have to give it to LS Dunes. I'm still hurt inside over the breakup of Circa Survive, the hiatus of Circa Survive.
Well, that's what it is, right? It's a hiatus, right? Because that's what Maggie was saying too. They're not technically
being down there like 6 feet from Anthony Green was a meet your heroes moment for me.
Yeah.
So definitely that's my top 3.
Man, it wasn't just you. There was a dude in front of me screaming, Anthony Green! Anthony Green!
That dude's
kind
got
of back for the other dudes in the band. Because they're big deals too, man.
Every person in that
They're
band is
super
huge.
right?
2 dudes from Thursday, a guy from My Chemical Romance, and another one from Coheed. And everybody's just focused on Anthony Green.
They're a sick band, though. You have such a sick lineup of people playing in that band. All of them are so solid. And we sat on the side of the My Chemical Romance dude, and he was a solid player. You could hear his amp from the stage volume of that amp. And
I thought it was cool that there were some younger fans they were shouting out My Chemical Romance, and one of the girls had the shirt on, and he tried to throw him a pick, and some full-grown adult grabbed said pick from the girl. And that community you spoke about after that set got that pick and that set list from that dude back to that little girl. So don't take stuff from kids, man. Don't be that guy.
Don't be
what about that crowd surfing toddler?
Man,
that was a hilarious moment during that set because Anthony Green's face was very you could tell uncomfy. I think all our faces were.
We were all like, I was very uncomfortable when that was happening.
It's like, hold up, bro.
Yeah, we
kind of
up there in that in that front corner, like we kind of all had a moment where we looked at Anthony Green and he looked at us and just like,
like, I don't know if I would be doing that.
Don't know if that's cool, man.
And then there was one of the stage helpers. She was over on the side, like about to catch the little girl, and her face was so panic stricken the whole time. Mm-hmm. We were all panic stricken.
Yeah, you catch a kid while they're crowd surfing, then what do? You have this kid. Now you have to raise it? I'd be panicked too.
I'm going to go ahead and echo that Ellis Dunes was one of my favorites of the weekend, if not only because I do love that band and they're solid, but because some dude got on the stage with a cup of island noodles and really thought he was a part of the band. And Anthony Green was like, dude, you've been up here too long, and smacked that cup of noodles out of his hand.
Let that be a lesson to all you stage dwellers out there who get on the stage when a band plays and just walk around like you think you're a part of it. They don't want you up there. Once you're past the 3-second mark, you've been there too long. Scream one line, jump off stage. That's all you got to do. You don't sit there and eat lunch. That dude was eating lunch. And then came the best moment, I think. If I were to say one of my favorite moments is when Anthony Green starts singing the next line, slings his hand, and knocks that cup of noodles 20 feet into the air. Noodles are literally everywhere.
It's awesome. Dude, there's photos. There are really good photos of just the sky covered in noodles.
Furnace Fest posted that on their Instagram more than once. Yeah. Like the video of Anthony Green knocking those noodles up.
Oh, perfect.
More than one time. It was such a good moment.
Perfect for the dude that did it, because now he just lives in infamy as noodle guy. Thanks, Kyle.
Dude, he got the best experience of the weekend, man. Like, you want to like meet your heroes and have that connection and have like a really positive experience. But being the noodle guy is a story that he will take for the rest of his life. That is so good.
And the fact that it's not only that, people don't hate him. You know, sometimes people hate that person, but he's part of one of the funniest moments of the weekend. So it's like people kind of like the guy, even though he was being weird. But there you go.
Yeah, outside of Ellis Dunes, I'm going to throw it. This list changes every day when I think about it, by the way. I just had a great time. So outside of Ellis Dunes, I'm going to throw Poison the Well for nostalgia. And their set was just awesome. And that dude doesn't sound anything like, I mean, obviously the album's 20 years old. He sounds scary now. Yeah. And it was good times being in there.
Sound like a tough guy hardcore dude and less of a emo screamer.
Yeah, he really did. It was awesome. And then I'm just going to give it to Under Oath, dude. That set they played, Only Chasing Safety, and then the 5 songs, well, no one asked for Teeth, but the songs after Teeth was incredible.
So
Teeth was really good.
That's my thing. I'm not a Teeth hater, because once you get past the techno, and the techno live was so loud that it felt like my chest was going to cave in. So even that was okay.
I tried to hide behind it, dude.
But once I get to that heavy part, like he's playing a baritone guitar, like it got thunderous, dude.
Yeah, I didn't make it to the last 37 seconds of Teeth on Spotify because I barely got 37 seconds in. I was like, okay, I'm out. But seeing it live, I was like, I may go listen to this on Spotify one day.
Yeah. It was pretty solid. For me, top 3. I'm going to try not, this probably won't be in order, but I'm going to go with Stretch Armstrong for nostalgia purposes. Plus, they're just amazing anyway. I love that band. LS Dunes, 100% is on that list. And 68, which is now one of my favorite bands, period. I've listened to them nonstop since I've gotten home. And so much so that my son Oliver is a huge fan of theirs now as well. So
raising them right.
Dude, that's right, bro. He likes them, and obviously AFI, all that kind of stuff. My son's a huge fan of that like angsty kind of rock punk music. So I'm here for it, bro.
I've been listening to 68 a lot since Furnace Fest and Blindside and Hell the Sun. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I enjoy Hell the Sun's music, but I do think that is a band where, yes, I like what I'm listening to recorded, but they were so good live. I would actually rather see them live than just listen to this stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, musically, those dudes are unreal. And I like that they are a younger band doing it. And that's been something I've been trying to get better about is I sometimes tend to get caught in a little bubble of here are the bands I've listened to for the past 2 decades. This is all I listen to, like kind of thing. And even like 68 is a band that the lead singer is a part of bands that I have listened to for the past 3 decades. So he's Norma Jean, Chariot, like, 2 of my favorite bands ever, which Norma Jean's set could hit in that top 3 easily. They've been in my top 3 several times over the past couple weeks when I think about who are my favorite 3 bands. Like Norma Jean was awesome. But, I've been trying really hard to give some respect to some of the younger dudes and ladies out there doing the thing, trying to make it, in this music world, in this genre, because we need people to still do it. Yeah. It sucks because you look at all these bands that we went to see, and as amazing as it is, they're all older than us. So you got there were 3 younger bands I'll shout out in your line. I'm gonna shout out No Cure because they were very old school hardcore straight edge band, and they did their thing. And one thing you pointed out, which was cool, they had a bunch of bands from the area come up on stage, and they used their time to promote smaller bands. Was cool. Number 2, Nigma. They self-promote it in the Furnace Fest group on Facebook a lot, and then their set was awesome. They killed it. And then one of my favorite moments with that was with Watson, though.
Yeah, dude. Yes.
the random.
So they had beach balls. They had beach balls, and they wrote their band's name on them, and they were affectionately known as Nigma Balls. Nigma was the first band on the first day. They basically played before the show actually opened. Mm-hmm. People were in line. They were playing. They had self-promoted a lot. They had the Nigma Balls, which I think is funny because I'm a child.
Sure.
On the last song of the last set of the last day of the last band of the last Furnace Fest, there was another beach ball. And I said, hey, do you think that's a Nigma ball? Because I think Nigma balls is funny. And
because why would
in front of us turned around and was like, hey, who just said Nigma? And Jordan kind of sold me out. I was worried I was going to get punched, but I got a sticker out of it because it was the bass player from Nigma. I was very excited.
And their stickers were amazing.
Their stickers were amazing. It was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles logo, but with their band instead.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah, dude. Shout out Nigma. And the last one I want to shout out, last but not least, local to Louisville, Kentucky, Greyhaven. They put on a good set too, dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Greyhaven, out of all of those younger bands, them, Hell the Sun are the 2 that I'm most okay, I can get down with this 100%. Like these dudes are writing some slappers. Nigma too, they did really well. Yeah, I agree with that though. It was cool to see some young representation up there doing the thing amongst all those 50-year-old dudes out there still doing the thing.
I'm very much.
Go ahead.
Bury or dead. Hey, I'm 48 now, and this set's 3 songs too long, so I'm gonna let this other guy sing for me. Well, absolute respect for that,
dude. My favorite thing is that my man comes out in jeans and a fresh white tee, and he looks like he sells you insurance during Monday through Friday and sings in a hardcore band Saturday and Sunday or something. But you're right, dude. My man was up there just doing the thing, but that was hilarious.
Their set was vicious too.
It was
absolutely chaos. It was awesome to see them do their thing too. I really liked Emery's set. And Emery is one of those bands, much like I have a bad habit of if I like a band, I really typically don't get past album number 2. So if I listen more than 2 albums you put out, then I like you. For whatever reason, I fall off after 2 albums, and I'll just consistently listen to the same 2 albums. Did that with Emery when I found out about them, and I was going through Furnace Fest bands. I listened to them this year, and I got really into their first album, really liked their second album, listened to their third album. I was like, I'm just going to listen to these first 2. Well, since Furnace Fest, their set was so cool, and I liked he had his kids over there showing them, hey, this is what we do. This is what your dad does. I love that. I've since gone on and listened to their entire discography since Furnace Fest, and now they're probably one of my favorite bands. Love them.
Yeah, those dudes were awesome. I mean, and Watson mentioned them in his top 3, but I have to also give a shout to, seeing Coheed was an amazing opportunity was to see them. Those dudes are just absolutely unbelievable. One of my favorite bands anyway. And just seeing them live and seeing them play, a whole album playthrough. And I love the fact that afterwards they played a couple more songs. They're like, we didn't plan on playing anymore. We played an album for you all. And not only is it it's a tough album to play through, like they're but they went up there and they did the thing. They were all, I felt like every headliner of this festival. August Burns Red.
Yeah.
They went out and did the thing too. It was such a, I don't know.
Better Lovers we didn't touch on. They were great too.
One of my favorites too. And I love that band. I bought a shirt of theirs. My favorite shirt probably I bought. So it's just, man, so many good memories, but it was a good time hanging out with you boys. So
Furnace Fest 2025, what up?
I hope so.
Yeah.
It ain't happening though. I feel like they tied the bow.
Yeah, they said this was the last one.
I think we'll see Furnace Fest in 2035. So I'll see you guys when we're all like 50 something years old.
Oh, dude.
All of the band's grandkids are up there with their instruments. My grandpappy wrote this song. It's called Memphis Will Be Laid to Waste.
Yeah, dude. I think it's, I think that it'll be cool to see, that kind of stuff. But if you're if you're into music like that, just go support your local bands. That's all I can think to say. It's like, go support it, because I think that it's important to keep these things alive and keep these things going. All right, boys, any final thoughts on Furnace Fest before we move on?
We have stayed in the scariest, most rundown Verbo of all time. Typically, when I go on vacation and I rent an Airbnb or a Verbo, I'm like, man, this thing's so nice. I don't even want to go home. That was not the case. I was homesick after like 10 minutes.
So I think that since we're on the Verbo situation, so we get out of day one. We've been driving since, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. We go, we hang out all night, and they're an hour behind us. And so these festivals didn't end until like midnight. So it's like 1 o'clock our time. So at this point, we're close to about 21 hours up. We get the car, we start rolling. And not only was this Verbo sketchy, but the Verbo owner didn't even have a proper address in there for us to find the place. So we spent an hour driving up and down streets trying to go look for a blue house
with a yellow door.
And there's multiple blue houses. Every house looks the same, really, on this street.
Also, because it's 1 a.m, pitch dark. We're all dead tired running on caffeine monster fumes.
And we finally call. We get through to a person. We get in. It's not much better. We find out that even though the listing said 2 bathrooms, there's really 1.5 baths. And we're all having to share a shower. So you got 4 dudes that have been festivaling it up all day long.
Bathroom door wouldn't shut.
Oh, that was the best. We had to use a clothes hamper to keep the door shut so the door wasn't flinging open while people were taking slams and stuff.
Dude, and the house was just, man, it was something. It was in disrepair. And then somehow my boy got the 1-star rating from the Verbo host.
So here's the thing, guys. I kept getting harassed in email to please do a Verbo, and it offered me credits if I were to go ahead and make the Verbo thing. So I was like, all right, I'll just give them a mediocre review. It's fine. It's okay. Like, do what you need to do. And when I get my review back, which she did the review before I did mine, which is why they kept saying she's putting a review in for you, was 1 star. We did everything on the list.
And we took out all the trash. That house was definitely cleaner than when we walked in. I'll tell you that, lady. And
there was a cockroach in there. I didn't say nothing about that in my review.
I smashed her with the little tub stopper.
Yeah.
I really think I'm the catalyst for your 1-star review, because I forget it's 2024 and ring doorbells and we're standing on the porch and I'm like talking about how scary this house is and going off about it.
Thanks, buddy.
Welcome, friend.
Oh, man. Good times. Watson, any final thoughts before we roll?
Listen.
Oh.
If you're going to go on a road trip, you need two things. A road and a trip.
I feel like that should have been the advice at the end. Don't worry, we'll throw it back to Watson. We'll have advice from Watson today also. That's just your first piece of advice from Watson. There's another one coming at the end.
As my wife often tells me, I am full of it.
It's true. All right, guys, give us just a minute. We'll be right back. We got some nerdy news. We got some other stuff coming up, so give us just a moment. We'll be right back.
You know, I've done 78 episodes of the Nerdy Reads podcast, and you would think I remember like Justin's sign off and Dylan's like each and every week we bring you something from around the Nerdverse news-wise, but I don't know it. Dylan's gone. Thanks, Dylan. I've been thrust in here against my will. And
just
now,
thank Dylan for being gone.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dylan. Glad you're not here.
Thanks, buddy. But as always, we have a sighting of the week here at the Nerdy Reads podcast. And in true Dylan fashion, I found one that is filmed in probably 380p. So let's go ahead and get this up here. Audio listeners, putting it on the screen now. There you go, Justin. There's a creepy video on TMZ.com that shows a dog that appears to morph into a man. The video shows a creepy looking backyard with a truck, and you can see off to the side of what appears to be an animal running, and then bam, animorphs.
No way.
Animorphs. There he goes.
Rewind that. Oh no, are we getting?
They're gonna do it in slow mo here in a minute. There he is running. Boom. Animorphs.
Watson, how do you explain this, Watson?
How do I explain it?
Wait, here goes. Boom.
Yeah, AI.
AI.
Yeah, easy.
You know what, dude? That's going to be the new thing. We're all going to start explaining the unexplainable as AI.
Yeah. Well, my wife and I watched a video of, it looked like it was America's Got Talent or something similar. And there was a dude who just laid down and turned into a dog. And it was relatively convincing, but like it was pretty clearly AI.
Well,
so I'm content to just blame robots for everything that I don't understand and then go about my business.
You know what? I respect it. It worked for R.L. Stine. It could work here. Maybe that is a robot, but there's a poll on TMZ.com that we can vote. Is this video for real or is it dog poo? What y'all think?
Let's go for real.
Watson, special guest. What you got?
I'll defer to the wisdom of the group.
36% of TMZ says that is for real, but 64% said dog crap out of 11,000 votes. Look, I'm a believer. I believe this video is real. I believe in the authenticity of TMZ's reporting. There you have it. That is a man who can transform into a wolf. I will post the link to that in our Discord.
I hope it's not TMZ. That's journalistic integrity. So
absolutely,
it might be pretty real.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm not as good as Dylan at the news and the segue, so I'm just going to go ahead. We have our first piece of news here. We cover a lot of McDonald's products here on the Nerdy Reads podcast, and McDonald's is coming back with their next adult Happy Meal. However, this one may be Spain only. I should have maybe read the article before I shared it, but it's here. It's the Friends box. You can roll over if you're in Spain. You can roll over there and get an adult Happy Meal. You get either Rachel, Monica, Ross, Chandler, Joey, Phoebe. Look at these cute little toys on here. Sorry, audio listeners. They kind of look like mini Funko Pops. But the true draw to this, each Friends box comes with the special sauce known as Monica's Marinara. I don't know what makes it special. I don't know if it's rebranded ketchup. It's in like the McNugget sauce cup. I really want to get my hands on this sauce and try it out, though. I can't imagine
on eBay for like $37.99 or something soon.
You ain't wrong, dude. I can't imagine dipping a McNugget in marinara, though. Like, what would you use this for?
It's a chicken parmesan, man.
That's true.
Chicken and marinara go together perfect.
Man, you know what, Watson?
You're over here offending me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. Hopefully this comes stateside. Now that I've read that it's Spain, I'm like, oh. Hopefully
I wonder, like, I know Friends was a global success. And things, but it surprises me that this is like a Spain exclusive when Friends is always, Friends is still like one of the biggest things ever here. Why would you not bring that here?
I think I've said it on this show before. It's like my wife's white noise. When I go get in bed later tonight, there is going to be an episode of Friends on. I think we're on like season 6 for the umpteenth time. But I will be falling asleep to an episode of Friends as I've done every night for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised that the localization team didn't change it to Amigos.
Man, we're going to go ahead and stick with 90s icons for this nerdy news. I have.
I love it.
I do too. Me. I can't.
You don't even know what to say now.
I don't either. So let's jump into my next story. Batman Resurrection is a Batman 89 sequel that explores a city still haunted by the Joker. So we have author John Jackson Miller has taken the end of Batman and Batman Returns and put a novel that takes place in between them and kind of explores what happens with Gotham City in the wake of the Joker. But it's Tim Burton's universe. I think this sounds really rad. There's an awesome author interview up with him on denofgeek.com that I will also throw in our Discord. I'd like to cover this book on our podcast at some point if we can get there. Are you guys fans of the Tim Burton Batman movies?
They're probably my favorite ones still. And I think a lot of that's nostalgia still too. Like those are the Batmans I grew up watching. But I also think they are still like good movies also. I think that about Tim Burton, like even like Edward Scissorhands and all that type of stuff, like they still hold up. Like if you go and watch them, they're still enjoyable movies even years later. And you can't say that for every movie of the mid to late 90s. There's a lot of them I go and watch and I'm like, why did I like this? You know, like kind of thing. But I haven't felt that way. This right here has got me very excited to go and read this. I'd love to cover something like this. This is cool.
I really love that one of the villains he's using for this, he's like thinking of all Batman's rogues gallery, and he's like, who fits Tim Burton's mode? Clayface. So Clayface is going to be here. Clayface is a very Tim Burton-esque villain. So yeah, dude, I look forward to checking this book out. We probably need to invite Blake on for it, dude. Get it done.
And Watsini. Watsini, you want to read this with us?
Sure.
we'll have most of Ghost Bomb, half a Ghost Bomb here.
So then I can just get Blood Eagle off the rip.
If you want,
And we can do that.
Let's do it. Done. You heard it here first. We're going to review the new Batman Resurrection book that takes place in Tim Burton's universe, and we're going to hear a live performance of Blood Eagle with half the Ghost Bomb members. That's it for Nerdy Days.
All right, boys. Robert, you know what time it is.
Man, it's time for What's Hot. We here at the Nerdy Reads podcast can't read everything. That's why we bring you something from around the nerd verse. And this week it is Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. High school senior Andrew finds refuge in the twisted fairy tales that he writes for the only person who can ground him in reality, his friend Thomas. But something strange is going on with Thomas. His abusive parents have recently vanished. Thomas has shown up to school with blood stains on his clothes. Thomas won't say a word about it and shuts down anytime Andrew inquires. Thomas is being haunted by something and has now lost all interest in drawing sketches and monsters that Andrew would create for their stories. But one night, Andrew follows Thomas out to the forest where he sees Thomas fighting nightmarish monsters that came to life from his drawings, evidently, is what I gleaned from this. So the monsters are trying to kill anyone in this town. Thomas is keeping them at bay. So to keep everyone safe, the boys decide we're going to fight these monsters every single night. But Andrew begins to fear the only way to stop the creatures may be to destroy their creator. This one's tagged horror, fantasy, young adult. It's currently at a 4.34 out of 5 on Goodreads, with early readers praising the atmosphere and the fairy tale level of storytelling. It releases on October 29th.
Sounds like our kind of thing.
But, dude, that's in the future. If you want to know what's coming next week, tune in. We're joined again by another teacher. It may not be our favorite teacher, but he's up there. It's David Coomer. He's the author of the Misery House series. We're going to talk horror movies, another round of Goosebumps. Guys, if you haven't checked out the Misery House, it's a quick weekend read. You can go pop over to Amazon. It's $1. 99 cents. You can't even get a gas station Polar Pop for $1, but you can get one of the best books I've read this year for that price. Give it a try. I'm actually in the middle of the sequel, The Silent Forest, right now. I'm a big fan of this dude's work, and I'm going to buy everything he puts out. So there's your promo. Check us out next week for David Coomer.
And something to add to that too is that purchasing books from David Coomer or any author like that, it really goes a long way with them and in supporting them and helping them, not only in financially, but getting them on the top of those boards is a big deal for them. And so you have an opportunity to go support a good dude who is also very talented as well. So we really encourage you to go and invest and buy that for 99 cents. Like Robert said, can't beat that. So, I'll give up a Polar Pop to go buy a book, support somebody. So there you go. All right, guys, it's been a fun one. We always have a good time with our boy Watsini. And we always also enjoy talking about Goosebumps. It was fun talking about Furnace Fest. One of my favorite trips I've taken in a long time that's not involves my family. So it was a good time just hanging out with the boys. Haven't ever done anything like that, actually. So it was just a really fun time. Special trip, special event. And guys, we got a lot of things coming up, and there's a lot of things you're going to keep up with. Not only do we have all of the rest of these spooky season things going on, we got a lot of other stuff going on, and you want to keep up with that. Rob, where are they going to find it?
You can find us over on Facebook, Instagram, Goodreads, YouTube. Like and subscribe at the Nerdy Reads Podcast. Guys, if you haven't checked out our YouTube yet, please do so. You can find our book sections in their own self-contained videos. I encourage you to share a post from our social media this week or give us a comment. That stuff helps us out tremendously, and we really appreciate you.
Absolutely. And guys, Dylan may not be here, but we got a Watson. So, we can never end and should not end any episode without advice from somebody. And today is from our favorite teacher, Watson. So, Watson, what do you got for us?
Teach us something.
Listen, we're going through spooky season. We're getting ready to go into the holiday season. And it's really easy to lose ourselves, forget who we are, forget where we came from. And the way to fight that is self-care. Self-care is going to look different for every single person. Sometimes it's going on a road trip with your bros. Sometimes it's building some robots and not giving them a mom and then torturing them until they implode. Other times it'll look like taking a nap behind the sound booth so that you don't have to listen to Show Me the Body quite so loud. So don't forget, during your busiest times, during your loudest times, during the times where the thing that you're holding on to feels the slipperiest, sometimes you have to lay down in a field and take a nap while other people are listening to death metal. It's self-care.
First off, that is sound advice. Okay. We definitely support that here at the Nerdy Reads Podcast. Watson, once again, man, we really appreciate you being here, dude.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'll be on the show anytime you ask.
Well,
until you lose all your subscribers for me being here.
No way. Hey, listen, dude. You're always a very loved guest. So we appreciate you being here, man. It's always a pleasure. One of our favorite teachers, one of our favorite people in the world right there.
Coomer's your favorite teacher's favorite teacher.
There you go. I mean, we love Coomer too. We can't.
That's how I'm going to intro him next week. Our favorite teacher's favorite teacher. It's Coomer.
First off, yes. If Coomer, if you're listening, just know that's coming. So there you go. All right, guys. So here's the Nerdy Reads Podcast. We enjoy a good story. We believe that your story matters. So be good to each other. Stay nerdy, our friends. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, Dylan.
Bye, Dylan.